Welcome to Best Boys, a film podcast, an amateur film study podcast for the average Joe, the buffest buffs, and the cringiest bingers. I'm your host, JP, and I'm joined by my brother, professional Hollywood videographer
Corey with a story. And welcome back, everybody, to a nice, I guess horror-filled episode. Yeah, a little spooky in July. You know, who needs Christmas this time of year? Everyone just wants the spooks. And
yeah, except for these are not really conventional spooky movies in any way.
Yeah,
one is definitely scary in terms of the Black experience in America, and the other one is I don't know what to fucking think about it. I still don't know how I feel about one of these films. And we're going to get to it today. So we're doing Jordan Peele, if you didn't figure that out. And he's kind of become one of the hot names in horror in the last, I want to say 5 years. What year was Get Out?
Get Out was 2017.
Yeah, so exactly the last 5 years. I think a lot of people put him up with the trifecta, the new horror trifecta of Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, and now obviously Jordan Peele. Do you think that is a fair thing, or do you think that they don't really go together, or one of them doesn't belong, or anything like that? I think that Jordan Peele has his own definitive voice and style.
Yeah,
but all three of them do.
Yeah, so they all do like their own thing, and none of them feel like movies that would be in the same even kind of genre wise, but just it's definitely they're in a conversation together, but I don't know if they're necessarily doing
it's like indie horror.
Right? Yeah,
it's they're definitely indie horror. I mean,
I wouldn't call Nope indie.
No, but I think it's got its roots in the style. Mm-hmm. The style, and Get Out was a Blumhouse film. And I don't remember if Us was or not, but it definitely had all. And The Northman wasn't an indie film, but it definitely all has its roots out of that. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's easy for people to kind of talk about a wave of there's a bunch of creative horror things happening, and there's a wave of filmmakers. And these kind of three are the biggest. They're probably the most popular. I would honestly at this point say that Jordan Peele is the most popular, followed by Ari Aster, then Robert Eggers. But I don't know. I think it's cool though. I think it is cool that there are people that are being creative and flipping tropes on their head and stuff like that. I think whatever I'm gonna say about Nope, that is definitely a thing about that movie. Do you have anything? Go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing that's about Jordan Peele compared to the others is the the mainstream notoriety and appeal from having the Key and Peele background and stuff. Whereas I was reading the other day, and a lot of people kept comparing they weren't comparing talents in movies between Christopher Nolan and him, but just when you hear that name, you're gonna see it, and you're most likely gonna be at least an interesting film. You're just the name alone will put butts in the seats.
They're definitely auteurs. Written, directed, produced, all together. There's definitely a singular vision, and singular voice kind of happening here. Jordan Peele, obviously, comedy is a vital element of his style. All three of his films have comedy in them. And also, because his background of Key and Peele, and I've known him first from Mad TV. The reruns used to play on Comedy Central, and I've known who he was for a very, very long time. So it's kind of wild. I know a lot of people say it, but it is kind of wild that now is an auteur, very groundbreaking filmmaker. And I'm very interested to see what he continues to do. And let's talk about what he's currently done with his latest outing in 2022's Nope, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Stephen Yoon, Keith David, and Michael Wincott. Uh, what do you think about Nope? Just throwing it out there. The
Uh,
big question.
I, so I only ever saw the initial trailer, and that's all I really went in on. Didn't I refused to see reviews or refused to see anyone talking about it? Didn't want to know anything about it because I honestly this trailer sold me on a, pretty interesting film. The way he does his filmmaking is, I love how he like slowly reveals his things and stuff. But man, I walked out of there initially disappointed and just not really sure if I liked it or not. And but as like the days passed, it grew on me a little bit more. There's a lot of as his other two previous films, there's a lot of themes working at play, and some have they're just there as an to be an indirect link to the main story, but I just kind of felt like I just feel like it didn't build up into anything as climactic as I thought it would or should, even though like you get this big kaiju monster at the end, but like it just feels like it lost some weight as all that was happening. Um, but I don't know. I'm hoping I'll have a better understanding after we talk about it. Not
That's what
understanding,
I
but better
feel like I'm
opinion.
waiting for. This is one of the few times where I've come to the show and not fully certain of how I feel about the film. I honestly, I agree with what you. The one thing that I can pull out of it is I agree that I felt like the movie was building up to something, and I ultimately decided that it was not satisfying. I did not
Yeah.
feel satisfied with how the film ended up. There was a lot I liked about the movie, a lot I loved about the movie, a lot that was funny, a lot that was cool and interesting, and like I said, he's really smart. He knows movies, he knows films, he knows like not even just that, like pop culture, like he knows storytelling mechanisms and tropes. He's probably been in writers' rooms for decades, before
Mhm.
he was making Get Out. You can see that he knows that and he plays with expectations, he plays with tropes. He has really in this film, I think, gone the furthest in terms of style, and visual style, in terms of like, I don't know, is jump cut the word, or when the cuts to black that happen throughout the film, and they happen at increasing speed towards the end of
Mhm.
the movie. I don't know what you call that technique, but man, he's trying something with that. I don't know if I liked it or not, but there was style, like the chapter, the choice to have the animals as names of these chapters,
Mhm.
um, and things like that. The use of the flashbacks and like this is storytelling, the way he's telling the story. It's all interesting and but I don't know if this at its core I really liked what was going on. I liked so many things. I like so
Mhm.
many scenes. I like so many performances.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Kiki Palmer fucking kills it. Kiki Palmer's gonna be a star in my like. I think she's got it. But and there's
Jackson.
like just the cinematography is beautiful. I heard that they got the
Oh.
guy who did Dunkirk for this, and it's fantastic cinematography. A little bit
Mhm.
on its nose about with the having a DP character in the movie who's supposed to be like the best DP ever, and he's trying to get the perfect shot. Like it definitely seems like self-referential with that. I don't know how I feel about that. There's so many things I don't know how I feel about its narrative inclusion in the story. The story is kind of loose. Like even though it plays out very literally in the film, like if you think about the beats, they kind of feel loose. They kind of feel a little wide open. If something needs to happen and it's ridiculous, it happens, but it's not like consistent. The one thing that stands up to me is the TMZ motorcyclist, which
Yeah.
we don't
Oh
even know
man.
if he worked for TMZ. All he would say was, "I need my camera. I need my camera. My camera." And Kiki Palmer says he's from TMZ, and then he dies, and that's that. Don't understand. Like that was for some kind of message about things. There's a whole lot of metaphor in this movie.
Yeah.
A
A lot.
whole lot of
Much
layers in this movie.
spectacle.
Things, yeah, spectacle is one of the big ones. My partner who I saw it with, that was the one thing she kept talking about. And but there's also, metaphors for lots of different things. The black
Mm.
experience and other things,
Yeah.
UFOs and
Animal
um
exploitation.
animal exploitation, whatnot, things like that. There's so many, and like celebrity culture and nostalgia, like nostalgia for the '80s. I feel like Steven Yeun's character is supposed to be the actor from The Goonies, who's also in Everything All at Once. Like he's like the
Yeah,
grown-up version of God, I forget his name.
I
Um,
always forget too. But
but
Wayman,
uh, but yeah, I feel like he's like that. Like I'm the grown up version of this beloved Asian child actor. Maybe I'm only thinking that because the link there, but I don't know. It was the fact that he said he's on like the sitcom and he was in this movie. Did you notice that the movie he was in, Kid Sheriff, the poster was styled just like Holes?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
I
the
did see
font
notice
was
that.
Holes. They're looking into a well, and it looks just like Shia LaBeouf looking into the Holes hole.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
oh my god, I laughed so hard. There's so many things like that. Ki Hua Kwan is the name of the actor I was thinking of. But it's something I like. I don't know how I feel about the Gordy thing, the Gordy storyline, and it's supposed to like the about animals and how animals act and like what can set an animal off and don't look into their eye and don't flash a camera at them and like because you could just set something off and we're all animals and there's things going on with that. And but also like Stephen Yoon has this trauma, and he obviously is very traumatized by it, but then he's learned to like commodify his trauma. Like he's making a living off of being a kid who watched a monkey murder people on live television, like in one of the actors, or whatever. Like
Mm.
I don't. It's all interesting and God. So I'm gonna pass it back to you because it's just, like every time I talk about this movie, it ends up in a ramble. Um, but I felt like the first half of this movie, I was down, just down because
Mm.
there was a lot of mystery. I didn't know where it was gonna go. I didn't know like what are all these pieces adding up to, and my brain was starting to work and try to figure it out. And then once everything was filled in, and I was left with a 45-minute action set piece, I just don't. I don't know if it worked. I don't know if I like it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I feel like this movie is like it leans on its awesome aesthetic and cinematography, and I feel like that's was what props it up because like the way it's shot and the way the scenes, like I personally enjoy that the way the structure of the film. I don't mind the Gordy stuff. I like that it ties into like Steve Yoon's
It's a lot of
character.
time. It's just a lot
Uh,
of time.
like I like that he essentially watched, pushing an animal too hard and then it snaps, and then he just does the same thing once he figures out the UFO is a creature and is just using it for spectacle, and like not learning from those mistakes as being a kid. I found
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Uh, but where it starts to fall apart is it's like it's all this cool stuff, and it does have layers, but I feel like the layers are of all the of this being his third movie, like the weakest amount of substance through it, and it ultimately just builds up into just a fairly anticlimactic scene because it's broken up with all. It doesn't have a time to really peak because it keeps being brought down by all these like softer moments in the thing. Like in that last thing where like the alien is just standing in between the two and they're just shouting at each other from across the room or from across the not the room but the outside thing
Oh my
and just
god! Well,
kind of
and like that was a recurring
it's just
motif
like
of the whole movie is the whole
yeah,
shouting across fields. There's
yeah,
so many reoccurring things like themes like that. But like, did you notice that the sound design of the
mm,
movie where there's like constantly someone shouting out of a window at another person
yeah,
like 100 yards away, and then
mm.
the end that's like a thing. It's like a thing in the end. Um, yeah, we
But
kind of had issues with the sound design with like how things were like really really loud and like the monster noise just like it would get you, it was interesting at first, but then like it would just keep It was just like, sucking everything up, and it was just like,
Mm,
constant noise. It was like a cacophony, um, where it just lost all effect and it was just loud. And I'm like, this is too
mm.
loud. I don't know, maybe it was the theater I was in, but it felt like there were moments where I was like, this audio just feels too loud.
Yeah, the theater we saw it in, I really regret. I wish we would have saw it in like the Dolby Room or IMAX. The movie shot on IMAX, which I didn't know going in, and I feel like I would have wanted to see it in IMAX or at the very least one of the Dolby Room things for the audio. Because our place, just one of the speakers was just shitty and had this like weird delay reverb on some of the stuff. So especially when there was dialogue, it just like didn't sound great. And so I can't give a true opinion on it because of that. But but yeah, I mean the ending does just have a lot of noise. It's just a lot of but it's like a lot of noise, but it's just like you're waiting for, I'm not saying like it needed to have like an Independence Day style ending or anything like that, but it's just like it just seems so anticlimactic, even though it's this big kaiju monster. Like you think that you would just be on edge, like holy fuck, this is crazy. But it's still, I don't know if it's just because the way it's shot or what. It just just a balloon saves the day feels, but it also kind of, I guess, feels kind of 80s in that fact of just having a something more kid-ish being like the solution to a major problem.
This
Um,
movie definitely reminds me of like if Everything Everywhere All at Once is the like modern version of a Spielberg adventure movie, like I don't
mm,
know, like a Indiana Jones, Star Warsy, E.T. kind of thing. This is definitely reminds me of like Signs and Tremors and like
mm,
sci-fi horror, but it's really just a fun adventure movie, like
yeah.
draped in those elements. Um, like that's definitely it feels like the modern version of that because it has the humor and the
Mhm.
um I don't know, the humor. How did you feel about the character, the Fries character? One, glad you took me to
Angel.
Fries because I got to Fries is in the movie and I'm like, hey, I was there before. I've been there before.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
You know what the sad thing is? All the fries went out of business.
Wild. So like, it's
They're
weird
gone.
that Fries went out of business since this movie was made.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, fries is way better than Best Buy and all those shits. They had everything. It's a shame. It's a national travesty.
Yeah, I wish we had one of them
Um,
out here.
but
But
but yeah,
I didn't like that character at first.
oh yeah,
As time went on, he was funny enough that I liked him, but he just felt like a knockoff Dave Franco, and just was there for jokes and for like
mm,
his character is kind of forced into the story to be
that's a
part of
lot.
the. At first, I'm like, you're straight up obviously being forced into this gang, and you don't
Mm,
need to be. And you're like, why are you even so obsessed and interested like with what they're doing? Like this isn't
yeah.
even doesn't even like feel like natural, or I don't know, it felt very forced, his character.
Yeah, and even the way that the character's written, just like how like it is just it's not even like it's not even written in a way that's like I would say clever or subtle of him being part of the group. It's just straight up like plot. This guy's gonna be here so we can advance the plot, and then he ultimately uh does fuck all at the end because he after the dumbest thing in this movie, I was really Jordan
Oh,
Peele's
there's so
great
many
about
dumb things.
avoiding horror logic, but when the DP after they have all they need is just like I'm gonna get the impossible shot, takes the camera with him, and then which
Yes.
ends up luring the fucking thing over to
Yes.
where they have the other camera,
I
so they
didn't.
lost all
I
their
didn't
footage.
understand. We didn't. We literally didn't understand what he was trying to do. Like, was he
I
trying
know
to
I
get a shot from like super like die? He was sacrificing himself for the perfect shot, but like the camera would just fall out and break. So that
Yeah,
doesn't
and
make
it's not a
sense.
digital camera, so it's not like they can get the memory card off of it. If that film gets exposed to light, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
ruined.
fucked. Yeah.
This it was so dumb. I didn't understand. I literally it was just something for the plot so that they could have the picture with the tunnel thing be the ending. Or not the tunnel, the well, the picture coming out of the
Yeah,
well at the end.
stupid, stupid. Yeah,
I did
really
not
dumb.
like
And I
that at
thought they
all.
got it on the different camera, and he took another camera. Like, what happened
Yeah.
to the? Didn't they get it on film the first time? And
Yeah,
then he's
so
like,
Angel starts cranking after the other guy leaves, and then after DP gets sucked up and dies, and then falls and dies or whatever.
Oh, it
He
breaks
sucks,
the other
yeah,
one.
yeah. The alien sucks up Angel, and that whole base camp. But Angel only gets halfway sucked, and falls
Oh.
down, and then he wraps himself in barbed wire. And I'm like, okay, I'm into that.
Oh
Put
yeah,
Angel,
I
keep
thought
this
that was
character
gonna be
separate.
something, and it didn't
Yeah,
be anything.
yeah. It was just a fucking fake out. Because I would be like,
Yeah.
all right, that because they already showed that Akira shot of all the people being inside the monster about to get squished, and which I thought was a
Oh
great.
yeah, the how many
Peak
Akira
Akira.
shots were in this movie? The motorcycle slide was the most obvious one.
Oh yeah, yeah. The I don't know why I'm so used to that just being a trope in a lot of things that it doesn't even
Everything's used it, but this is
as
one that's done it so on the nose. It was like wink, Akira slide.
yeah.
That is funny though. You mentioned the Akira in the monster because I didn't think about that, but it is definitely what it was like.
I
They didn't get,
honestly I'm let down that they didn't do the full squish with the blood taking up the whole
yeah,
screen. I
yeah.
wish they should have. Like you don't have to
Um,
come back to it and overuse it, but just do that once to show the impact. It gives way more weight to all the people that put up there rather than just slow dying and digesting. They're just like you're seeing their last moments of being crushed. It would be so much more like impactful, I think. But
um,
there you go.
yeah. There's a lot of moments I liked. I remember when there were just like things I didn't understand, and I feel like there were leaps in the plot that like it took me a minute to catch up with. So I didn't understand that the decoy was that Kiki Palmer stole was from Stephen from Jupiter's Claim. So then the
Yeah.
children came dressed as aliens, and I did not understand why. Like, why did they do that? And like apparently to steal the decoy back, but those children could have never have carried the decoy. Like I didn't understand. Like, are Stephen Yoon and Daniel in Hayward horses, like, are they friends? Are they business, like good business partners? Are they bad business
Mm,
partners? Do they not like each other? I didn't get anything out of any of that. They had this weird back and forth over the decoy.
mm.
The horse statue and all that.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it's like how it was with the film stuff in the beginning, where the relationship was built with Keith David's character, the dad, and then with the farm, like they're losing bleeding money on the farm, so they're selling horses to Steve, and then Steve's just using the horses as food. I think that's just like they're. I think Steven's character understands that they're on hard times or whatever, and was just taking it up as a like the whatever. But the kids being involved with the alien thing, yeah, I don't know why there was something or throwaway where the kids got picked up or something, or like there was like a car driving away. But I think I just have that in my head. But
Yeah, I
I
don't
I
know.
appreciated the fake out of the kid aliens
I
because like
like
Riley
that.
got scared,
Yeah, I
grabbed my
like that.
hand. She was like, "Oh my god, we're gonna this is our signs moment."
Yeah, that's
And
what I thought it was. Here come in this. There was a fake out, which I appreciated, but like
yeah,
I
that one
did.
I liked.
Oh, there was like, but it was weird because around that point there was like 3 jump scares in a row, and then there was like no jump scares for the rest of the movie.
Mm.
Like the
Yeah.
the the Fry's coworker appeared behind
Mm.
Angel, the alien thing, and then there was one other one I think around that point. Because I guess you're trying to spice up the first half of the movie because it's a lot of
Yeah.
setup. Riss actually straight up said she thought the first half of the movie was boring. I thought that the first half of the
Really?
movie was the only part that was not only part that was interesting, but it was the more interesting part because of, like I said, I was trying to figure out where it's going, and I had no idea where this movie was
Yeah.
going, no idea, and that's what got me through for a really long time. And then once, like I said, the like a near hour action set piece goes on, and I am just checked out by the end of it. I mean, like
Yeah.
maybe it's because it took so long. There was like so much setup to get to this point, but
Mm.
I thought that it was the action set piece could have been. I thought the whole movie as a whole could have been 2 hours flat, and it would be just a ton smoother.
That's what 10 minutes off.
I
I think it
think
was two
so.
ten.
I think you probably could take 15 minutes off.
At least
Between like
10 for sure.
10 off the second half and 5 off the first half.
Mm.
And I think this movie would be much better. I think
I
it would pace so much better, and it would And there's just so many like long lingering things for it being such a like snappy movie. I don't know. All
Here.
right.
So as you were talking, it had me thinking about just kind of like why I am so disappointed in the that action sequence, and I feel like it's just because none of our main characters are ever put in any really like close near death danger. Like the closest is when Daniel Kaluuya's character is with the TMZ guy, but he, you know, he's it's pretty quickly revealed that he's just out or whatever, and like you assume that he gets eaten by the monster whenever Kiki Palmer drives away to go over to Jupiter's Claim, but there's no like nobody got hurt other than Angel got partially sucked up in the DP, but nobody gives a shit about the DP
Yeah,
character.
I feel like the
Killed
DP was
himself.
literally brought in to be sacrificed. I was like,
Yeah,
he was brought in to be killed.
yeah, it's completely wasted. He kills himself essentially, which makes it even more like I
Yeah,
don't care
hollow
about.
and yeah, cheap.
Uh, yeah, and I think that if you have like a real stake of just like somebody actually getting close to death or actually injured or whatever, it doesn't have to actually die, but just put more like it. Like if let's say if Daniel's character got sucked up into the monster, but he figured out a way to get out and somehow like maybe the parachute feather thing and him and the horse got sucked up into the monster. He finds a way to stab it and spits him out with the parachute thing, and he like floats down or something. Just like create some sort of like oh my god, he really is dead, rather than just have appear into the smoke and then he reappears in the last shot of the movie. Um, and I think without having something like high intensity to actually put the stakes on the table, it doesn't feel like there's any like real stakes. Like at no point do I feel like either of the main characters were going to die. And Angel
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just there.
yeah. And I didn't. I don't know. Stephen Yoon died.
He died, but the main two characters, Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, and they're
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I
because
feel like honestly, I feel a lot about this movie that I feel like about the Batman, where I liked a lot about it,
mm,
but at the end of the day, I think that I don't know if it really worked.
yeah.
Or if like it was for the Batman, it was because it was too long, just too fucking way too fucking long. This I think is too long, but I think that there's some narrative
Yeah, time alone can't
clunkiness.
save this.
Yes, I think it would be smooth, more streamlined and smoother. Because I feel like I guess the action thing is what everybody's waiting for, but it's like once there wasn't anything more to reveal. There was nothing left to reveal, and I think that's I don't know. I don't know. It just wasn't satisfying. I didn't hate this movie. I don't dislike this movie. I feel
Neither
like
do
I
I.
was talking myself into giving it a higher score before, and now I've talked myself into bringing it back to where I was. Um, but I think I'm ready to score it. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Um, I think that no, I think that's all I got really. It is really good. I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means.
I don't think
Uh,
it's really good. I think it might
no,
just
I
be
think it's
just
yeah,
all right to good.
yeah,
Somewhere in that, it's not bad and it's not great. I don't
yeah. That's what
know
I
how.
kept saying. At the
Um,
wedding last night, I just kept sound. People asked me what I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, it's not a bad movie, but it's not great. It's it's good. You like some people like it
But
more than others."
I could see people. I don't know. I've seen some reviews like people just fucking loving it. This is my favorite Jordan Peele film. Blah blah blah. I'm like, this is. Well, I don't even. I thought I liked it more than Us, but now I'm starting to think I like Us more. Did you see?
Oh, I liked Us way more than this. I like
Wow,
previous
wow.
movies way more
Because
than this.
I think Us is. I think Us. I think the gap. This is going to be a reveal, but I think the gap between Get Out and Us is pretty big. Like I
Mhm.
liked Us, but I think that Get Out is just so much better.
Get
So
Out is a damn near perfect film.
it is, and Us is just good. This I think maybe is not as good as Us. I think it's trying to be. So here is the thing with Jordan Peele is he's a very conceptual filmmaker. He comes up with a concept and he tries to execute that to like to the furthest degree, and it's concepts that might not traditionally you'd think would work well on a screen, on the screen or something like that. So with Us, I just think about this fantastical concept of the mirror world and all, there's a whole lore and world going on. It's a very huge concept. This is not quite as big, but still very big. um Get Out is a big concept, but it fits in a smaller movie, and that's
Mm.
why it works. It's like Get Out is my favorite because it's so minimal, and but it has so much depth for how with what it has. Whereas Us is very big, a big concept, bigger movie, and I think maybe that's why it doesn't hit quite the same. This is a big movie, but it's also trying to be quieter. It's trying to be like I
Real.
don't know. It's not like there's not like Us where there's like mass chaos, pandemonium, end of the world
Mhm.
shit. Like it's very small. It's just this handful of characters. It's just the ranch and Jupiter's Claim, and they're going back and forth between the two. Its scope is smaller, but the idea of the alien and the film stuff, there's so much commentary on Hollywood and film
Mhm.
history. And Riss brought up that the monster like square mouth thing is like reminiscent of an old camera, which
Mhm.
I didn't think about. um I don't know. There's things going on, for sure. I don't understand why the monster went from flying saucer to a big vagina Rorschach thing. Uh,
I thought it looked like the penis alien from Angel from like episode 2 of Evangelion.
I thought it looked like a uterus, like a cutaway of the women's reproductive system. So I don't know why it changed. I don't know what made it change. I don't know why it changed. I don't know any of
I
that.
took I took it as it finally had eaten enough to, like, go to its next form, but then it goes back into its saucer mode for a little bit, and
No, makes
before
no
it goes
sense.
back. Yeah, so I didn't understand that, but I was gonna ask you, how did you feel about the twist of it being, like, your Shyamalan twist of instead of it being a spacecraft, it is the monster, like, it is
You
the
figure
alien?
it out pretty early, um, and
I liked it. I thought it was
no, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool thing. I just wondered how far they could go with it, and they're just really leaning into the animal. What do animals do? What affects animals? Animal, how they being cruel to animals, blah blah.
yeah. I wasn't crazy about the if you don't look at it, it won't suck you up like T-Rex style.
Yeah, it reminded me of the weeping angels from Doctor Who. If you don't look at them, if you look at them, they can't move, but you look away, they move like Boo's from Mario.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I'm just giving this movie a 3.
Okay, I'm at 3.5. So
I
we're pretty
was
much
at 3.5, and I like this movie better than the Batman, but I think it's the same caliber of film where it's some people are gonna think it's really good, some people might not like it. I think it's just all right. It's a all right to good film.
yeah. No, I think
Um,
that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's just I have only seen Us once and it was in theaters, so I'm just going off of memory, but
I've only
as
seen
it
Us
stands now,
once.
though, as it stands though, I had no problems with Us other than like like the ending getting a little bit weird with the whole, it's like how does everybody have matching suits, scissors, all that stuff
I think it's a
in
little convoluted, and some of it, yeah, some of it doesn't make sense when you think about it too
but
far.
but I love the concept and I love the visual of it. It had so much more going on and to think about and to keep you moving at least. Whereas this, it's so not slow in a bad way, but there's not a lot to go deep in and think about. So you're just kind of like picking it apart a lot more easily, I think.
Yeah, maybe you're like sitting with it,
Yeah.
a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. It's all right though. I probably, like I said, you're probably gonna see some people nut over this, like they did the Batman. Um, but and you might see some people hate it, but it's all right. But let's talk about a good movie.
Great
So,
movie.
let's talk about Get Out. 2017's Get Out, starring Daniel Kaluuya. Lakeith Stanfield, um, Catherine Keener. I don't have the full list in front of me. The guy from the bad guy from Billy Madison, Bradley Whitford,
Yeah.
Caleb
Oh,
Landry Jones, and Allison Williams. Oh, and Lil Ray Howery as Rod Williams. That's pretty much the entire cast. Oh yeah, Stephen Root's in this too. The guy from Dodgeball. I always know him as the guy from
yeah, yeah.
Dodgeball, but he's in a
And
million things. He's a character actor he plays all kinds of shit. He's the man in the high castle.
he's Milton in Office Space.
He is Milton in Office Space. He looks so different as Milton.
Yeah, right. And
Um,
I always forget that that's him though. And but that's always what once I recognize the guy, that's always who I think of first before, and then Dodgeball.
yeah, for some reason, I go Dodgeball, man in the high castle. But yeah, this movie is there's something I've talked to you about this, I think privately. I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but there is like that sweet spot where in an early filmmaker's career, and they're usually doing a horror movie because of budget reasons, and they just like force some creativity into the genre, and it just flips it on its head. We started off talking about Ari Aster and Robert Eggers, and they've absolutely did this exact same thing. And they do a lot with a little in terms of a budget. But it just it resonates so far, and it be still like they're it's still up there with their best stuff. You know what I mean? Like they get bigger budgets, and it somehow doesn't capture what this does. And this budget is $4.5 million. For Get Out. And I don't know. There's something really, I like indie horror because of that. There's like people are able to just do extraordinary things when they are put under creative constraints and pressures. And then horror is just a very simple genre. Like it has simple formulas that are really easy to tweak and kind of rearrange the parts or do things with.
Yeah, rewatching it. So I think I thought I'd seen this twice, but thinking about it when I was rewatching this, I've only seen it once. It wasn't in theaters; it was at home. But the second time watching this, though, you really now that you know what's happening and everything, you really can just kind of like dissect it a little bit more, and
I liked
it
it a
is
lot better
so.
this time.
Yes, me too. Loved it so much more this time. Between like no all of the tells that are so blatant, but you didn't catch them the first time because you didn't know the ending, is incredible. Um, but to what you were saying is, for me, what really does it is something that those other directors can't do, but Jordan can, is just giving this fresh perspective into in a concept that I'm sure everyone has made a joke about at some point, but taking it real, and actually taking the tones and the implications and all that seriously, and
It's
just adding into this true, genuine horror thing that is something that you and I might not be able to relate to as much, but hits home with that audience.
mm-hmm.
And I just it just done so well, but it's even joked about within the film and stuff like that. Like where you have like when Daniel Kaluuya's character, also starring in this, by the way, is talking to Georgina, or he has that weird interaction with Georgina, and then he's talking to Rose about it, and he's just when she's like, "What do you mean?" or whatever. It's like, it's a thing. Like she might not be all right with us being like black women who get upset when black guys date white women and stuff like that. But it's like made it in a joke manner, but it's also added into a level of like the oddness, the seriousness with all the like the uneasiness in the house and the whole situation, all these things that could be just kind of like a you're just making a joke about or poking around about or whatever, but it adds this actual layer of fear into the experience for his character. And it's just taken so much more serious, and it's just so well done. It's so well done. And even I don't know. It's so good. Sorry, I'll kick it back, but I just can't. I smile on my face so much in this movie, just how well crafted or like execution is of this film.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's already something that is a tense and awkward thing. It's like meeting a partner's parents for the first time,
Hmm.
especially if they are, maybe if they're from a different economic class than you. I know that that can be really weird feeling, and like there can be strange things said that are, are because there are people that are out of touch with where you are from, and maybe they think they are. But this being, an African American on top of that, adds an entire another layer, because there is fear. Like, there is, what you do can be interpreted badly because of stereotypes and assumptions and discrimination, and like they set it up with the interaction with the police officer towards the beginning of the movie, and then it kind of like, that's where it starts. And like an innocuous, you hit a deer, that's something for me or you, pretty routine thing. We call our insurance. If we can drive away, that's great. That's about it. We can drive away, and that's that. But thinking about it as a African American, that police officer could decide then to search your car, or search you, give you a hard time, make you do a sobriety test, try to find a way to think that you assume that you are a criminal, and try to force it upon you. And it kind of subverts it, and we get through that. But then we find out that and it's also a way for the Allison Williams character to seem like she's down. She is cool, and she's hip, and she's progressive. She's not gonna let any cops talk shit to my man, I think is what she says.
Yeah.
But in actuality, like her family is even worse. It's like on a whole nother level. Or it's just another element of the same exact thing. Um, I think that I don't know. It's really really done well how it sets up the themes, and how you're already primed for it, and then once you get
Mhm.
there, and they're just like, oh, I would have voted for Obama a third term, or like things like that, and it's, I think
The my
it
man
is,
thing.
this movie illustrates so well a type of racism that I think a lot of people are still in denial of. It is like the
Mhm.
neoliberal, like they vote Democrat, they are liberals, they're not racist, but they may say they still don't understand, they still don't get it, they still, they might look at another culture as, um like a science project, or like like a
Mhm.
something to learn about and study and observe, and not something to think is as equal as my culture.
Yeah.
I'm observing and interested in you as a superior, and I
Mhm.
think that is just bad faith. You're treating somebody, different, regardless if you think it
Yeah.
is positive or not. um
Yeah, it's like, when you're not if you're not automatically yourself, how you normally would be around anybody around this, like a certain type or culture, then that's your first red flag. And with this, with the where Rose and the mom are just like, I don't know why he's acting so weird. He's never acted like this. And it's because he's having his uncomfortable trying to relate or whatever to this thing, and then he makes lines about going all over the world and taking trophies home and stuff, as if which just implies more that he's one of those kind of like he would be one of those kind of people that would go to Africa as a tourist rather than like looking at it from like the proper like perspective, which is not okay. It's not a good thing. It's more of like that. It's cool to me, so I get into it rather than actually appreciating and being a part of something.
a lot of the show, Atlanta, deals with these themes. I'm not sure if you've ever
I've seen
seen it.
season one.
I think it's more so in the latter two seasons, but it's definitely a thing, where like you go somewhere that, um, because Van, the character Van, Donald Glover's partner, Zazie Beetz' character, she's mixed race, and she's still in touch, not in touch, but like in contact with her white family and her white ethnic heritage. I think she's German. And then they go to things where it is really really awkward. Like it's like they're observing white culture, but also the white culture is like doesn't know how to handle them, being black people in their space. And there's just like stuff like that. There's so many episodes I could name that are very similar to this. I actually just Googled it to see when Atlanta started, and it was 2016. The second season is 2018. So this movie came out between the first and second season, but yeah, you can just see, I don't know, the influence, one way or the other. But there's a lot of overlap. If you really like these movies, and especially if you really like Get Out, you have to pretty much watch Atlanta, because it's just more of that kind of stuff, and done in a very creative. That's what makes these films interesting and good. And it's not, and I don't know if there's ever been like this. These stories have ever been told in such an interesting and creative way. And I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I actually probably wrong. I'm probably wrong about that. Maybe the better way to put that is such an easy to digest and like stimulating in a pop culture sense. Like, it's like horror. Horror. We watch horror to be scared, to whatever. Like, it's a genre we're very familiar with, so having it be the vehicle to tell this story kind of helps the message really go down and be understood. And it kind of is easy to relate. Even if you're not an African American, you can at least understand this from being in one part of the perspective, or having a friend that's dealt with it or whatever. I don't know. There's just a lot that really works and is very relevant.
Mm. It's interesting. The first time I watched it, the big shock being that they're not like capturing black people to kill them, or something. They're capturing black people to become them. It brings on a whole other like element
It
and
is
wave
true.
of stuff where it's like the blind guy, Milton's character, when he's talking about, like, some people just want it for fashion, some people want it to improve their athleticism or the whatever, and they keep making lines about saying black people are like genetically superior. And there's like a one line where, when towards the end, when Daniel's tied to the chair, and it's like they make the comment of just like, with our determination and your um I don't know if he said genetic superiority or something along those
Your
lines.
genetic makeup.
Yeah, genetic makeup and our determination, anything is pot. Think of what we could do.
Or no,
And
I'm
it's
thinking
just
of Caleb Landry Jones when he's talking about MMA, and he's like,
oh
with your
yeah, yeah, yeah.
genetic
Your
makeup, you
genetic
could be a
makeup.
beast.
So
And
it's all the. I think that's such a awesome not awesome. I think that's such a wild perspective of having the that white people who have that subconscious jealousness of like, well, I wasn't athletic. Why aren't I as
if
this
I was
other
black, I'd
great
be so
person?
much better.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
would be
I wanted to. It don't even just athletics either. It's not just
just black
physically.
jealousy as a whole.
Well, because Stephen Root's character, like he's blind and he wants eyes, but he could just have any eyes. But he wants Daniel Kaluuya's eyes because he's a photographer and he likes his eye for
Yeah,
photographs. Like his artistic vision. And you can't really teach somebody art. Like, I mean, you can teach them about art and how to critique art and how to analyze art.
understand it.
But and even I mean, but like there's a level even between understanding and being able to like apply that to your own work.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that they get to the critique level and analysis level, and they can't internalize that. They can't like
Mhm.
figure out about something style and kind of incorporate it to what they do and like learn and grow in that way and kind of
Yeah.
evolve. That's how an artist kind of evolves. But at the end of the day, you're developing your own voice, and your own style, and some
Mhm.
people just can't make that leap. And I think it's not just physical. It's like your creativity, your creative
Mhm.
vision. I want that. So I'm going to take your eyes. It's like, 'cause it's very representative. I don't think eyes actually would work that way. But yeah, I think that's worth noting. Um, that's kind of that's the point of the movie. The dinner party is when things start to really unravel. I guess there's the fight at dinner with the brother that's kind of awkward, and that's where it kind of gets started. And then the interactions with the the servants in the house, which are weird. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, rewatching it the second time, knowing that Walter and Georgina are the grandparents, it makes so much sense how they're talking and acting and everything, and like it because you think it's so weird, but it's like the Jesse Owens thing talking about, oh, my grandfather got second place and he almost got over it, and then he's now in a athletic black man's body, still training and running his laps and stuff. It's just like it watching this a second time is just so much more enjoyable, catching all the tells and all the little things, because he really, like, if you pay attention, he spells it out right from the jump. And obviously, well, something's up. You're getting into a horror movie that's about a black man meeting a white family for the first time. So you have all these different things in your head about what is it going to be. But I really enjoyed that, having that twist just being like the essentially body snatching. Uh, it's just it's such a wild concept that just goes so deep. Um, and then the interactions with, like, Georgina specifically, when you have the, because they have the Keith Stanfield scene where a flash of light can break them, like bring back their part of their consciousness into control. But then even just like the like certain conversations of like bringing up like black culture stuff or whatever gets them like hooked and triggered into like a frozen state, and Georgina starts crying, and then you can just see it's like the internal consciousness is fighting for control before like the one overpowers the other. It's just very
Um,
well done, very well done.
I feel like we should talk about the there's like the B plot, which is with Rod, his friend, who is watching his dog while he's away,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like slowly figuring out that something is wrong. And well, he's been telling him the whole time that something is wrong, but then he actually realizes that something actually is wrong. And then he's the one who ends up saving the day in the end, and his storyline is much more where the comedy comes in. Is he's very funny, he's constantly cracking jokes, he's like the levity of the film. um and I really like his storyline and plot, and it ends up being a good, I'm glad that it ends on a, like, it's a happy ending,
Mm.
I guess. But I like that. I think in a story like this, you need it to be a good ending, because of what the message is, and whatnot. It would have been weird if he died.
Yeah, it feels like racism prevails. This would be which would kind of undo a lot of what the big themes of the movie are. But I love Rod's character. I think he's hilarious. He almost feels like an audience member, like when you're watching movies with someone's just shouting shit out at the TV. In a lot of it, which I think is really well done, whether it's intended to be that or not. Um, but yeah, the scene when he goes to the police station is absolutely both hilarious, but also like, again, it falls into that thing of just like, this is a real conversation that has probably been had, where it's just like, oh, I haven't heard from this dude for whatever, and then you're just like, well, he met a white woman, oh, he's double his age or whatever, so then you're like, all the things you would make a joke about, but it's all real, and then you're trying to pitch that again to another like layer, or not layer, but just like another degree, and you're just like hearing all the absurdity because it sounds so much jokingly, or something that's just far out there, but it's just it adds such a nice perfect element into all this. And it's not too much humor, it's not too much uh of distraction from the main plot or anything. It all just fits super nicely into my favorite runtime, which is an hour and 45.
Yeah, the runtime is perfect. It's That's what also makes the movie so good. Is it's perfectly paced. It goes just as you feel like it goes as you feel it should, and it doesn't like linger too long on anything. And yeah, the runtime is probably one of the biggest strengths about it. Um, yeah, but there's so much that works. I will say, and the only things in terms of critique, I feel like this is pretty basic in terms of cinematography. Um, I've seen other people say that too. That it's not like it's pretty meat and potatoes, kind of getting the job done. I was asking
Yeah,
you
I
about
did.
the cinematography.
Yeah, it's oh my god, it's incredible. It's beautiful. The it's not overdone. It's everything is
Well,
it's
that's
not,
the
it's not
opposite of
trying
what
to
I
be.
said because I said the cinematography sucked. I said it's the
Really?
one. I said, yeah. If you listen to what I was just saying,
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how I just missed that then. But I disagree. I don't think photography is a down note at all in this. I think it works like it doesn't seem like an overscaled, overproduced thing, but it also doesn't feel like an indie short. And then all the things that they did with like the sunken place uh in that whole like sequence
the
of
sunken place thing
having
was
it be
cool.
like the little TV screen within like the black abyss, I thought was nice. And with the eyes closed is like the TV turning off.
I think it gets the
That's like
job done, but it definitely feels like a low budget movie.
really.
Yeah,
I don't
it
think it feels
definitely
low budget.
I think it definitely feels like an A24 lower budget. I mean, I think there's even some of those that this feels like a lower budget than. Um, like I don't, it doesn't hide its budget. I think. So it's still a great movie, but I think that's just one thing about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this feels pretty in line with some with what I would think. I know the budget's only 4.5 million, but this feels like
It's just one
something that would
It's
be
like
in like
one
the
location, or it's like two. I mean, it's not one location, but most of the movie is.
yeah, but it doesn't for me. It doesn't feel small in that aspect. And I think it's because of the plot and the ideas being so big. But unlike Nope, which is small character amount, two locations or whatever. This doesn't feel necessarily as big because of the big things that movie does on scale, like production scale. But it feels like right in lane with that level.
Like even
In my
comparing, you just made me think about the cinematography. The cinematography is much more cramped in Get Out. Everything is much more
opinion.
close. It's all just shots of people's faces talking.
Yeah. Well, that's
Um,
probably to help the claustrophobic feel of him in the house in an uncomfortable situation.
I think that they had somebody they had whoever like it was just somebody that was much more basic. It's very I don't know. I think it takes away. I think it does take away from it.
Interesting.
All right,
I
well, let's just
definitely
wrap it up. What are you giving Get Out?
about a 4.5. I'm debating between a 4.5 and a 5 because it's super good. It's
I'm
damn
gonna
near
give it a four
perfect.
and a half for the critiques I just gave.
Um, you know what? I think I'm just gonna give it a 5 because I don't really have any. There's nothing about this I didn't like. There's nothing about the I think, and the rewatch value I think is high too. Uh, I think this is worthy of the perfect nomination for me.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thanks for listening to Best Boys. Make sure you follow and like and subscribe on all the things, and you can hear us next time. We will be back in 2 weeks, and I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but we will figure it out, and we will see you then. You can follow me on at Slob Thomas. You can follow him at Corey with a story with a K, and you can follow us at Best Boys Film Pod. And we will see you next week. Corey, do you have anything for him?
No, see you next time.
Bye.